Some of you have been fighting battles you didn't choose. You've carried burdens that never belonged to you. But today, I want you to hear this. There is a power greater than your struggles. There is a force moving on your behalf. God, call it universe, spirit, source is stepping in to take over your fight for freedom. And when God takes over, chains break, walls fall, and the impossible becomes possible. Today, we are going to see that freedom is not just something you fight for. It is something that fights for you. When you let the right power take the wheel. I know some of you are tired of the disappointments, tired of the setbacks, tired of feeling stuck. But listen closely, your fight is not yours alone. God is not watching from the sidelines. God is not waiting. God is moving. And the moment God takes over, everything changes. So today, I want you to open your mind, your heart, and your soul, because we are going to uncover the 6 ways freedom begins to work for you when you allow the divine power to take over your fight. Some of you are carrying more than you were ever meant to carry. You wake up every morning weighed down by worries, doubts, regrets, and fears. You shoulder responsibilities that do not belong solely to you, and you bear the consequences of battles that are not yours to fight. Maybe it's a broken relationship that you've tried to fix for years, a career path that refuses to bend to your will despite your tireless effort. Perhaps it's the memory of failures, the shame of missed opportunities, relentless pressure of living up to everyone else's expectations. You carry it all. And day after day, that weight is crushing you, making it hard to breathe, hard to think, hard to move. But here's the truth: freedom begins the moment you let go of what you cannot control. The moment you release the burden of the fight that does not belong to you, God steps in to take over. Think about it like this: when you try to carry a heavy load on your shoulders, your muscles tire, your back aches, and eventually your strength fails you. No matter how determined you are, no matter how disciplined, no matter how much grit you possess, you cannot hold it forever. Yet when you hand that load to the right power, when you allow God to lift it, suddenly you feel lighter. The tension releases, the pressure fades. You realize that you were never meant to fight every battle alone. Some battles are divine assignments. They require intervention beyond human effort. Look at your own life. How many times have you stayed in a situation longer than you should have, believing you had to solve it yourself? How many times have you argued, begged, or struggled only to find that nothing changes? That is the exact moment God wants you to release it. Let go. Step back. Stop trying to force what cannot be forced. When you do, you make space for God to act, to intervene, to move in ways that your limited understanding could never achieve. Let me give you an example from daily life. Imagine a woman trying to make ends meet, working 2 jobs, caring for family, managing bills, and still trying to keep her dreams alive. She is exhausted, frustrated, and feels invisible. Every day, she fights a battle she was never supposed to fight alone. Then one day, she realizes she has been doing everything by herself when she doesn't have to. She begins to ask for help, to trust a higher power, to surrender her anxiety, and almost immediately, things start to shift. Unexpected support comes. Opportunities open, doors she didn't even know existed suddenly appear. Her strength is no longer just human effort. It is divine momentum. She is freed to focus on what matters most. That is what it means to release the weight of the battle. And it's not just financial struggles. Emotional burdens are equally heavy. How many of us carry resentment, anger, or regret, telling ourselves we must endure, must fix, must forgive, but still holding on to the pain? That's a heavy load. That's a fight we cannot fully win alone. Releasing the weight of that battle doesn't mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending the pain isn't there. It means acknowledging that you do not have to carry it forever. When you surrender it to God, you allow healing, clarity, and peace to replace the struggle. Your heart grows lighter, your mind sharper, and your spirit stronger. Even in the workplace, people fight battles they were never meant to fight alone. Maybe you are in a toxic environment, a place where your talents are overlooked and your contributions undervalued. You feel trapped, thinking you have to fight to earn recognition, to demand respect, to prove your worth. But sometimes the real breakthrough comes not from force, but from release. When you let go of trying to control every outcome, when you allow God to fight for your breakthrough, the environment changes. Opportunities present themselves, supportive allies appear, doors open, and what once seemed impossible begins to feel inevitable. There is also a spiritual principle in releasing the weight of the battle by letting go. You shift from struggle to flow. Struggle keeps you in a state of tension and resistance. Flow allows divine intervention to move. Flow invites solutions, ideas, and possibilities you could never imagine. It liberates your energy so you can focus on growth, on purpose, on joy. Every burden you release makes room for freedom, and every chain you let go of allows God to replace it with empowerment. Listen carefully. This doesn't happen automatically. Releasing the weight of the battle requires courage, faith, and deliberate action. You must acknowledge your limits. You must admit that the fight is too big for you alone. You must trust that you are not being abandoned, but supported, guided, strengthened by a power greater than your circumstances. This is the first step toward freedom, the moment you stop wrestling with what you cannot control and start letting God move in your favor. So today, I challenge you to examine your life. Look at the battles you are carrying. Identify the weight that is suffocating you, the struggle that is draining you. Fight that is not yours alone, and then make a conscious choice. Release it. Hand it over. Step back. Let God take over. Because when you do, you will feel a freedom you never knew was possible. Your steps will become lighter, your vision clearer, your heart unburdened, and the fight that once seemed impossible will be won. Not by your own strength, but by the strength of the one who has been fighting for you all along. One of the hardest things we face in life is waiting. Waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the right breakthrough, waiting for the moment when everything finally makes sense. We live in a world that demands instant results, immediate answers, and quick fixes. Here's the truth: freedom, true freedom, rarely happens according to our schedule. It happens according to the timing of the divine force that moves on our behalf. God, or the universe, the source, or the energy guiding you, is never late. It is never too early. It is always perfect. The challenge is learning to trust it, even when your mind is screaming that you are stuck, even when your heart is weary from waiting, and even when your circumstances appear to be stagnant. Think about a farmer planting seeds. You can plant the seeds, water them, give them sunlight, and protect them from harm. But you cannot make them grow faster than nature intends. No amount of rushing, shaking, forcing can make a seed bloom before its time. And yet, how many of us try to rush our lives, impatiently shaking our own seeds, desperate for results, wondering why nothing is happening? The truth is that God's timing is like the perfect season. There is a rhythm, a divine pace, plan unfolding that you may not see yet. The more you trust that timing, the more you align with the flow of your breakthrough. Consider the story of a young professional working tirelessly at a job that offers little recognition or reward. Every day they arrive early, leave late, give their all, yet promotions and opportunities remain out of reach. Frustration sets in, doubt creeps in, the temptation to give up, to settle, or to take shortcuts feels overwhelming. But then one day the exact opportunity they've been waiting for appears, not a week too soon, not a moment too late. It is precisely in the moment when preparation meets divine timing. All the effort, all the patience, and all the silent perseverance pays off, and the reward is greater than anything they could have forced or earned on their own. That is trusting the timing of the outcome. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. It does not mean passive acceptance. It means actively preparing while maintaining faith that the results will come at the right moment. It means using the waiting period to grow, to learn, to strengthen, and to sharpen your mind, body, and spirit. Every challenge, every delay, every obstacle is not a punishment. It is a preparation. It is a rehearsal for the moment when the doors open, when the breakthrough arrives, when freedom steps into your life. Think of a musician tirelessly practicing day after day, perfecting their craft, only to face rejection after rejection. Auditions fail, gigs fall through, critics dismiss them. If they give up too soon, they will never hear the applause that is destined for them. But if they trust the timing, continue to practice, and remain faithful to their purpose, eventually the right opportunity appears. The performance that changes everything, the audience that understands, recognition that fulfills their lifelong dream. That moment arrives because it was meant to arrive, and because they trusted the unseen force guiding them. Even in relationships, timing is everything. You may meet the right person at the wrong time, or struggle to find connection when you feel ready. The universe's timing is rarely aligned with our impatience, but trust it. The people, experiences, and opportunities that are meant for you will come in their season, not a moment earlier or later. Learning to trust the timing of the outcome in your personal life is just as critical as trusting it in your career, your finances, or your health. The danger of not trusting timing is that we take matters into our own hands too soon, sabotaging what could have been. We settle for less than we deserve. We push, fight, and force only to create frustration, regret, and missed opportunities. But the moment you surrender, the moment you believe that the right result will arrive at the perfect moment, everything begins to shift. Your anxiety fades. Your vision clears. Your actions align with purpose rather than panic. You start to notice the signs, the openings, the synchronicities that were invisible before because you were too impatient to see them. Trusting the timing of the outcome requires faith, courage, perspective. Faith that there is a force greater than your circumstances working on your behalf. Courage to remain steadfast when nothing seems to be happening. Perspective to understand that delays are not denials and pauses are not punishment. Every moment of waiting has a lesson, a hidden blessing, a preparation that will make the eventual victory even sweeter. So today, I want you to look at the areas of your life where you are impatient, frustrated, or doubtful. The bills that haven't been paid, the dreams that haven't manifested, the relationships that seem stalled, the opportunities that are slow to arrive. Instead of giving in to despair or trying to force outcomes prematurely, take a deep breath and remind yourself God is on the move. Your breakthrough is on the way. The timing is perfect. Trust it. Keep preparing, keep believing, keep moving in alignment with your purpose, even if the results are not yet visible. Because when you learn to trust the timing of the outcome, you unlock a freedom that impatience cannot touch. You free yourself from unnecessary worry. You free your energy for growth and action, and you position yourself to receive blessings that are far greater than anything you could have rushed into existence. Freedom comes not only in the result, but in the peace that comes from knowing that God is never late, never wrong, and always working on your behalf. Pain is something we all experience. It comes in many forms: loss, betrayal, failure, disappointment, or the silent struggles that no one else sees. It can feel heavy, suffocating, and endless. But here's the truth: pain is not the end of your story. It is the raw material for your power. What feels like suffering today can become the fuel that propels you to heights you never thought possible. The key is not to avoid pain, not to run from it, but to embrace it, understand it, and transform it into strength. Think about the everyday life of someone who has faced repeated setbacks. Maybe it's a parent struggling to raise a child alone, working long hours just to keep the lights on, only to face criticism or lack of support from the world around them. The weight is heavy, the nights are long, and exhaustion becomes a constant companion. It would be easy to feel defeated, to see life as unfair, to sink into bitterness. But some people make a choice, a conscious, courageous choice, to let that pain refine them instead of define them. They use the sleepless nights, the struggles, and the tears as motivation to rise higher, to work smarter, to dream bigger. What once seemed like a curse becomes a source of unstoppable energy. That is transforming pain into power. Every challenge carries a lesson, even if it is hidden at first. A student failing an exam repeatedly may feel worthless, questioning their intelligence or ability. But in the midst of that disappointment lies opportunity, the chance to learn, to adapt, to develop resilience and focus. That very pain, when embraced and applied, can shape a stronger, wiser, and more determined person. When you allow your struggles to teach you, to guide you, and to refine your character, You are converting the energy of pain into power that can change your life. Consider the athlete who has faced repeated injuries. Every setback, every time they are forced to sit on the sidelines feels like defeat. But they have a choice. They can let it break them, or they can let it make them stronger. Some use the time to study their craft, to improve their technique, to build mental toughness, and to come back better than ever. Pain becomes the catalyst for greatness. It is the hidden engine behind their strength, the reason they can push past limits that others cannot. That is the power of transformation, the ability to turn what threatens to destroy you into the very thing that fuels your success. Even in relationships, pain can become power. A betrayal, a heartbreak, or a friendship loss can leave deep scars. The natural response is anger, resentment, or withdrawal. But those who transform their pain choose a different path. They extract lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and discernment. They use their experiences to grow emotionally and spiritually, to become wiser in love and life. Pain becomes a teacher, a compass, source of personal empowerment that allows them to navigate future relationships with strength and clarity. The workplace offers another example. Imagine someone repeatedly overlooked for promotion or recognition despite hard work and dedication. The initial response might be frustration or despair. Those who transform pain into power use it as fuel. They study, they sharpen skills, they network, and they develop resilience. The setbacks push them to innovate, to persist, and to eventually achieve what might have seemed impossible at first. Pain becomes the engine of ambition, determination, and excellence. Transforming pain into power requires a shift in perspective. It is easy to view struggles as punishments, as unfair burdens, or as evidence that life is against you. But what if pain is actually preparation? What if every difficulty, every disappointment, failure is shaping you into a stronger, wiser, more resilient person? When you see pain as fuel instead of a burden, your mindset changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn? How can I grow? How can I rise from this stronger than before? That is where transformation begins. Also requires action. You cannot simply suffer and wait for power to magically appear. You must engage with your pain, confront it, channel it into positive action, whether it is learning a new skill, building a healthier mindset, helping others, or pursuing a long-held dream. The energy from your struggles can be redirected into building a life of purpose and achievement. Pain, when harnessed, becomes unstoppable momentum. Finally, transforming pain into power is about resilience and hope. It is about looking at what once hurt you and realizing it has made you unbreakable. It is about understanding that every scar, every wound, every tear carries a lesson, a gift, and a path to greater strength. The obstacles you have endured are not roadblocks, they are stepping stones. The suffering you've felt is not wasted. It is the fire that forges your courage. When you embrace your pain as a tool, a guide, and a source of strength, you discover a power within yourself that cannot be taken away, cannot be diminished, cannot be ignored. So today I challenge you to examine the pain in your life, the disappointments, the losses, the struggles that weigh heavily on your heart. Decide that you will not let them defeat you. Decide that you will not allow them to define your story. Instead, turn them into fuel, transform them into motivation, resilience, and power. Let every challenge you face be a stepping stone, a lesson, and a source of unstoppable energy. The pain you endure today can become the power that propels you into freedom, success, and the life you were meant to live. Many people go through life wandering, drifting, and wondering why things never seem to click. They wake up each morning, go through the motions, wonder why fulfillment, joy, and freedom feel so distant. The truth is that life is most powerful when you are aligned with your true purpose. Purpose is more than a goal or ambition. It is the internal compass that directs your energy, your choices, and your actions toward the life you were meant to live. When you are aligned with your purpose, every step becomes meaningful, every challenge becomes manageable, and every struggle transforms into momentum. Think about someone stuck in a job that drains their soul. They go to work every day, perform their duties, and maybe earn enough to survive, but they feel empty, frustrated, and unfulfilled. No matter how much they try to force success, nothing feels right. Then one day, they take a moment to listen to their inner voice, to reflect on what truly brings them joy, meaning, and impact. They begin to take steps, small at first, toward a path that resonates with who they are at their core. Maybe it's starting a side business, pursuing a creative passion, or dedicating time to a cause that matters to them. Almost immediately, life begins to shift. Tasks that once felt laborious now feel energizing. Opportunities that were invisible become visible. Doors begin to open that had been closed. This is the power of aligning with your true purpose. When your energy flows with intention, the universe, or God, or the guiding force, moves to support you. Even in daily life, alignment is visible in the choices we make. A student choosing a field they are passionate about studies with focus and excitement, while someone following expectations that aren't their struggles through every assignment. Parent who discovers a passion for mentoring or teaching finds joy in guiding children even after long days of work. Purpose gives clarity. Purpose gives direction. Purpose gives strength. Without it, life feels like a constant battle. With it, life feels like a guided journey. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone rather than a wall. Consider the story of an entrepreneur. They may launch business after business, facing rejection, failure, and disappointment. Some quit because they feel defeated. But those who align with their true purpose persist. They recognize that their struggle is not random. It is shaping them, preparing them, and refining their path. When they focus on what truly matters, when their actions resonate with their authentic goals, their energy attracts the right opportunities, the right people, and the right timing. Success does not come by chance. It comes through alignment. Even in relationships, purpose matters. When you are aligned with your true self, the people, connections, and experiences you attract reflect that alignment. You no longer settle for situations that drain you or distract you. You no longer fight battles that aren't yours to fight. Instead, you move toward interactions that support your growth, bring mutual respect, reflect your values. When your life and purpose align, you become magnetic, not because you are trying to control life, because you are fully in tune with the energy that drives it. Daily routines offer another example. Imagine waking up every day with clarity about why you are here, what you are striving for, and how your actions serve that purpose. Suddenly, decisions become easier. Distractions lose their power. You prioritize what matters, conserve your energy for what counts, and move forward with confidence. Alignment is not just about achieving dreams. It is about living intentionally so that your life is no longer a series of random events, a deliberate path toward fulfillment and freedom. Purpose also fuels resilience. When challenges arise, as they always do, those aligned with their true purpose don't crumble. They have a reason to persevere. The obstacles become meaningful lessons, the setbacks become temporary pauses, and the hardships become the testing ground for their potential. Life does not stop being difficult, but purpose gives you a reason to keep moving. It transforms struggle into progress, frustration into focus, and pressure into growth. The journey to alignment often begins with self-reflection and honesty. You must ask yourself, what matters to me? What brings me joy, passion, and energy? What contribution do I want to make to the world? It may require letting go of what others expect of you or stepping away from paths that no longer serve you. Every step toward alignment brings freedom. Every choice in harmony with your true purpose lightens your load, sharpens your vision, magnifies your impact. Think of a musician, an artist, a teacher, a healer. Anyone whose work is a reflection of who they are meant to be. The alignment with their purpose makes them unstoppable. Every effort, every challenge, every sacrifice is invested with meaning. Even the setbacks carry lessons that enhance their skill and resilience. Life becomes not a series of battles, but a series of purposeful steps toward fulfillment. So today, I challenge you to examine your life and ask yourself if your daily actions, your work, your relationships, and your energy are aligned with your true purpose. If not, take small, deliberate steps toward clarity, focus, and alignment. The moment you begin living with purpose, the fight for your freedom becomes easier. The chains of confusion, doubt, and frustration begin to fall away. You will discover a power, a joy, and a sense of direction that transforms every struggle into an opportunity, every challenge into momentum, every day into a step closer to the life you were meant to live. Words are far more powerful than most of us realize. Every day we speak statements about ourselves, our lives, and our circumstances that shape our reality. Some of us speak in doubt, fear, and limitation, unknowingly feeding the very obstacles we want to overcome. Others speak with faith, confidence, and hope. Even in the face of adversity, life begins to bend toward them. Speaking victory instead of defeat is not just about optimism. It is about declaring a future you are committed to creating, a reality that aligns with your purpose, and a freedom that is already waiting for you. Think about your everyday conversations. How often do you say, "I can't, this is too hard," or "that will never work out"? Every time you do, you are giving energy to defeat, reinforcing limitations, silently telling the world that you have accepted struggle as your reality. But what if instead you began to speak differently? What if you declared, "I will overcome. I am capable. I am moving towards success." Even when the situation seems impossible, the words you speak become a bridge between where you are and you are meant to be. Consider the story of an entrepreneur struggling to keep their business afloat. Each morning, they wake up and see challenges everywhere. Bills to pay, clients lost, competition fierce, the temptation to complain, to give up, to voice defeat is strong. But imagine if instead they began each day by declaring their vision out loud. "I will grow my business. I will find the right clients. I will succeed." That simple shift in words begins to change mindset, opens eyes to opportunity, and energizes action. What once seemed like insurmountable obstacles becomes manageable steps toward victory. Speaking victory has the power to transform struggle into momentum. Even in personal life, the words we speak matter. Imagine someone facing a health challenge, constantly dwelling on pain, weakness. Fear only amplifies anxiety and stress. But when they speak life into their situation, affirming strength, resilience, and healing, they begin to shift energy, focus on solutions, and move toward recovery. Words do not magically remove obstacles, but they shape perspective, influence action, and summon the courage necessary to overcome. Speaking victory is an act of empowerment. Think of students, athletes, or performers. Those who speak victory, who visualize success and declare it daily, perform differently. They walk into exams, competitions, stages with confidence because their words have already shaped their belief. Conversely, those who speak defeat carry fear, hesitation, and doubt, and their performance reflects it. Words create expectation, expectation creates focus, and focus creates results. Victory begins in the voice, long before it appears in circumstances. Daily life gives endless examples. A parent raising children in a challenging environment may face setbacks, exhaustion, moments of despair. Speaking victory doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means affirming growth, resilience, and the ability to overcome. Saying, "We are stronger than this challenge," or "We will succeed together," instills confidence, hope, and determination, not only in themselves, but in everyone around them. Words become a source of inspiration, a declaration of freedom, magnet for solutions. Even relationships are transformed by speaking victory. When you focus on what is possible rather than what has failed, when you affirm understanding, forgiveness, and growth, the dynamic changes. Words can heal wounds, dissolve tension, and create new opportunities for connection. Those who speak defeat often perpetuate conflict, but those who speak victory invite resolution and transformation. Power of speaking victory also extends to the internal dialogue we often overlook. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I'll never get ahead," or "I'm not good enough," you are programming your mind for limitation. But consciously choosing to speak, "I am capable. I am worthy. I will rise above this," rewires your mindset, shifts your energy, and begins attracting opportunities aligned with your declarations. The voice you hear inside your head is the same voice that can either build your freedom or anchor you in struggle. Speaking victory is not about false hope or denial. It is about declaring faith in your potential, commitment to your purpose, belief in the unseen power guiding your life. It is about refusing to let temporary circumstances dictate permanent outcomes. It is about choosing words that align with freedom, possibility, and growth, even when everything around you seems to suggest otherwise. Take a moment and think about the areas of your life where defeat has been spoken over you. Maybe by others, maybe by yourself. What if you change the narrative? What if instead of giving words to fear and limitation, you began to speak life strength and possibility? What doors could open? What energy could be released? What battles could be won? The words you choose have the power to shape your reality, influence those around you, and activate the force that is already working on your behalf. So today, I challenge you to begin speaking victory, not defeat. Declare the life you want. Affirm your strength. Voice your freedom. Say it out loud. I will rise. I will succeed. I will overcome. Nothing can stop me. Do it consistently, intentionally, with conviction. Watch as your words begin to shape your mindset, your actions, and your circumstances. Watch as what once seemed impossible begins to unfold before your eyes. For too long, many of us have been standing on the edge of our breakthrough, hesitant to take the step that could change everything. We've prepared, we've struggled, we've fought battles, and yet, when the moment comes to move forward, fear, doubt, and hesitation hold us back. Stepping boldly into your new reality is the final and perhaps most crucial step in claiming the freedom, success, and life that has been waiting for you. It is the point where faith meets action, where preparation meets courage, where the invisible force working on your behalf begins to manifest visibly in your life. Think about a person who has just received a long-awaited promotion, a scholarship, or an opportunity to start a dream business. They have worked tirelessly, faced setbacks, and prepared for this very moment. Yet, instead of stepping forward confidently, they hesitate, they question their worth, they doubt their readiness, or they fear failure. The opportunity is real until they take decisive action. It remains just that, an opportunity, not a reality. Stepping boldly is about moving forward with conviction, trusting that the preparation, the effort, and the unseen guidance will support your every step. Consider the story of an artist who has been practicing their craft for years in obscurity. They have talent, passion, and vision. Fear of rejection has kept them from sharing their work with the world. One day, someone encourages them to showcase their art at a gallery or online platform. Stepping boldly into that new reality means taking the risk to be seen, to be vulnerable, and to declare, I am ready for what I have prepared for all these years. That step, though scary, becomes the moment when doors begin to open. Opportunities align. Recognition arrives. Success begins to take shape. Not because it was easy, because the courage to act met the opportunity. In everyday life, stepping boldly can appear in many forms. For a parent, may mean leaving a toxic relationship to create a safer, healthier environment for their family. For a student, it may mean applying for a program or career that seems beyond reach. For a professional, it may mean